Okay, shalom, shalom. Just testing everything out. Make sure everything is swab. Okay, just bear with me 1 second. Okay, most on Christ. Okay, shalom. Y'all Bashim Yashabak Thumb, Yashima Alathun Bashim Yawashah to the sisters. With Israelite School Universal Practical Knowledge, start out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. We are all under commanding General Yohana, and we are not affiliated with any other organization or Israelite group or church, anything outside of Isupk. It is not the home of the truth. It is not the truth. You understand? Let's go ahead and clap it up. All right, tonight is Monday night's history class. Anybody that's logged in, anybody that's watching right now, make sure you sign in. Make sure you sign in, put your name, city, where you're from. You understand? Tonight we're going to be going over the history of the Lord's High Holy Days, seeing as how we just finished 2 High Holy Days, and we're in another High Holy Day, which is the feast of, we just finished the Lord's Passover, which is down here in Houston. Give the Lord a hand again. April 24th was the Lord's Passover. Last night was the closing of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And right now we're in the Feast of First Fruits. You understand? So I'm going to be going over tonight and breaking this down of the Lord's High Holy Days, because of course I understand a lot of brothers and sisters that's new into the truth, students that are learning, young men, young women, and even young brothers and sisters that are in the truth may not understand the origin or where it comes from, the High Holy Days of the Most High, that he ordained or he gave an ordinance for the children of Israel to keep throughout our generations, which means forever. You understand? Which we're going to read that time and time again whenever we're dealing with the Lord's High Holy Days. The Most High, he gave the order that we keep it for throughout our generations. You understand? We're going to be going over that this evening. All right. And also, if we have an opportunity, we're going to go and break down at the end, toward the end of class, we're going to break down the history of Memorial Day, because I believe that's in another 2 weeks, right? We're going to break down the history of Memorial Day, Esau's military, things like that, because that ties in with one another. You understand? So the first High Holy Day we're going to go into, or the first Holy Convocation, will be the Sabbath service, or the Sabbath, not Sabbath service. I'm so used to conducting the Sabbath service, I put service on the end. Salakia. So the Sabbath, right? So we're going to go to Exodus, the 20th chapter. All right? We're going to start Exodus chapter 20, verse 8. All right? Once again, if you have any questions on anything that we're talking about on topic this evening, make sure you put your questions, comments into the comment sections on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever you're watching on. Just make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and you share all of the videos. All right, support this truth, man. All right, so we're going to break down the Sabbath day first, and that's going to start. We're going to start in Exodus, the 20th chapter. So Exodus chapter 20, verse 8. Exodus chapter 20, verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Give me 1 second, Salaki. I got some books I want to bring out. Just bear with me 1 second. Okay, Salaki. Bear with me. I had to grab some books. All right. It is the history class, and one thing you always want to realize and understand when learning the history, regardless of what history you're going into, You make sure you do research. You understand? This is a school. You understand? That's what church is. Church is school. You understand? In Hebrew is Bayas house of books. This is the house of books. You understand? The Israelite school of universal practical knowledge. It's practical. This is things you can use everywhere, right? The history we go into every Monday, you understand, here in the Israelite School UPK, is history that's practical. You can use it everywhere. It's the history that's found in the Bible, right? And whenever you're going through books, the Bible is what you use to validate the history you read. Because, of course, there are books that some nuts write and some nuts have written that don't mean anything. It's not practical. You understand? Like that, behold the pale horse. You know, all this garbage that these so-called the oppressors that are fanatical about, you know, doomsday preppers, all that garbage. They write books all the time, but it's not practical. It's nothing you could use everywhere. This is the Israelite School Universal Practical Knowledge. It's universal, it's practical. You understand? It's a school where you get taught, you learn things, right? This is not Mama's church where we sing and we dance. You understand? This is hardcore information that is going to save your life and the life of your children if you apply it to your life. You understand? If you apply it in everyday life, which you can because it's practical, these are the things that are going to save you and your family. If you listen, you be obedient to the men of the Lord under Commander Juliana, and you do everything we tell you to do, your life will be saved. You understand? This is very practical. So whenever we're going through the history, just always remember to have books on hand. It's a few that young men, young women, you can always grab. You can go on the Isupk website. You can grab and look at the books that, you know, it's a wide, broad range of books that we have in the school. So many, you know, like a damn library in here. You understand? But coming up in the troop, always we had the Zondervan's on hand. The Zondervan's Bible Dictionary from Babylon to Timbuktu. Those are just some basics that you want to get because that is a lot of the Zondervan's Bible Dictionary, whether it's the Zondervan's or the Strong's, both are correct. They have the definitions of terms in the Bible. You understand? And that's very important to realize because Christians don't understand breaking down scripture. They know how to repeat things that were taught to them in slavery, but they have no idea or any clue. They are totally oblivious to what words mean and what breakdowns are, what precepts are, how to stack and line precepts on precepts, how to go in the books and line things up and read it and do the history and the studying on it, right? You can do it to become a lawyer, but this being a priest of the Lord is the law of God. You are a lawyer, you understand? What Esau calls their lawyers, that's what a priest does. A priest and prophet of the Lord, that's what he is. That's our job. You understand? You take an oath, just like lawyers take an oath. And our job is to study this thing with a fine-tooth code day in and day out so we can answer your questions. We can answer questions, break things down, and to help our people understand the Bible more. You understand what Christians don't do. So now, with that being said, I got my books on hand. We're going to start in Exodus, the 20th chapter, verse 8. You understand? This is the history of the Sabbath. This is the Sabbath right here. We're going to break this down. We're going to go into it. We're going to go into every high holy day. So just have that prepared, right? So the Sabbath day. Exodus chapter 20, verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. You understand? The Bible says to remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. Holy means separate. That's what holy means. You understand? We're going to pull it right now. Because that's a word that you're going to hear a lot. That is a word that Christians use all of the time. And we're going to break down what the word holy means. If anybody wants to give it a try, you can put it in on Facebook or YouTube. Just write it in the comments section. All right? I'll give you a few seconds, right? And then we're going to break this thing down with the Zondervan's Bible Dictionary, right? Holy. What holy means. Anybody wants to give it a shot. What the word holy means. It's not Christianity. Holy to Christians mean, you know, whatever. But it's not the accurate definition. All right? So holy. Anybody want to give it a shot? What holy means? Going once, going twice. Okay, the Zondervan's Bible Dictionary. Holy or holiness usually translate words derived from a Hebrew root meaning. So once again, of course, the Bible was written in Hebrew. It was translated King James had Hebrew scholars, Greek scholars, Latin scholars translate the Bible from Hebrew to the Queen's English, to the King's English, to the English of their time, right? So words like thou, thus, though, where the J's were I's, that was the English, because the letter J wasn't invented until the 1800s. That's where you get that's why we read the 1611 King James Version Bible. No, the brother said dedicated to God. That is not what the word holy means. That's a Christian definition. That's what Christians believe holy means. But the Bible is Hebrew, right? And the Old Testament is written in Hebrew. Well, the English translation of a Hebrew word is holy. The Hebrew word for holy is Kodash. You understand? And that means separate. I'm going to read it right now. Usually translate words derived from a Hebrew root meaning separatedness, withdrawal, to be separate. Separate is what holy means. Not dedicated to God, not any of that nonsense. That's Christianity. You understand? Holy means separate. To keep it separate, which is how something remains holy. No, you too wild, Bob. There's no sweat. You learn it. And that's what holy is to keep something separate. You're going to hear that time and time again when talking about the high holy days. It's in the word. It's in the phrase. It's in the title. High holy days. It's the Lord's high holy days. These are days that you keep throughout your generations, every year, forever. Right? They're holy to be separate. It's not, you celebrating, Juneteenth, which is not unlawful to celebrate. It's not unlawful to celebrate Juneteenth. If you want to celebrate Juneteenth, go have at it, right? Haitians, the brothers lead the tribe of Levi, they want to celebrate the day that they so-called got freedom from the French. It's not unlawful, right? But those are not biblical high holy days. These high holy days in the Bible are to be separate from every other day, right? These are different. These are special days, right? They're to be separate. And so you're going to hear that term a lot. These are the Lord's high holy days, holy convocations. These are separate things, right? Which is how something remains holy. Something is holy by being separate, right? Christians believe that what the brother said, dedicated to God, that's what Christians would define holy as, because they think anything can be holy. This brother, you hear Christians say that all the time. You hear Christians say that when somebody can sing. He's anointed. He's holy. His tongue, he's blessed. His voice is holy. He's so holy. He's holy and sanctified. Christians believe anything and anybody can be holy. You understand? When the pastor is molesting their children, they believe that he's a holy man of God. When the pastor is having sex with a man's wife, he believes that that pastor is a holy man of God. Holy means separate. Separate means you do not do what other nations do. That's how you remain holy or separate. It's literally segregated. That's what holy is. Holy means to be separate or segregated. You understand? All right. To keep it holy. Verse 9. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. Verse 10. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Most High thy power. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. Verse 11. For in 6 days the Most High made heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Most High blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it, made it holy. Right? So this is where the Sabbath day comes from. If you didn't know, it's a famous, anybody understands, the Sabbath day is 7. It's on the seventh day, which is Saturday. You understand, what's so-called the Saturday is the Lord's Sabbath day. It is a day of rest, and we're going to go into, because a lot of fake Israelites, a lot of Christians, a lot of Jewish devils and oppressors, they believe that, they make up arbitrary, fake, not in the Bible rules about the Sabbath day. It's just not here. And I don't know where they get it from. I know where they get it from. They get it from the Jewish oppressor, the so-called Jewish man who believes that he is the real Jew. And they just make up arbitrary, false rules to do God knows what. You understand? And on their Sabbath day, their so-called Sabbath day, they don't do anything. They don't eat. Babies can't eat. They can't cook. They can't clean. That is not holy. That is not of God. You understand? The Sabbath day was made for the man. We're going to pull that scripture in a few minutes. But to understand where the Sabbath day comes from, which most people do, the Sabbath day comes from when the Lord created the heavens and earth, which roughly, okay, Christians believe that the earth, not the heavens and the earth was created in 7 days. Christians believe it was a literal 7 days, and that's not true either, right? Because the Bible was written by blacks and Hispanics, the Most High God is black. The way we talk is not, that's 7 days it's not Monday, Tuesday. Monday he did this, Tuesday he did this, Thursday. That's not it. It's roughly about 7,000 years. That's in the Bible. Precept. 1 day to the Lord is of 1,000 years, right? The time that the Lord is on is not the time we're on. You get my point? So roughly 7,000 years, right? But on that 7th day, the Most High rested. You understand? He didn't create anything, and so he blessed it, or he made that day to be separate. You understand? And his children, his chosen people, who only he loves, he wanted them to keep the day holy as well, or separate as well, and to not do any servile work. That is a key word in understanding the Sabbath day for you fake Israelites and Christians and the Jewish man. All you listening to, servile work is the most important thing. You understand? Because servile work means you cannot make any money on the Sabbath day. You get my point? That's what servile work is. Meaning, if you have a business, you have employees. If you have a business or you working, you slaving, the Sabbath day you cannot make any money on that day. That's the point. It's for you to rest. It's for you to relax. It's for you to chill. It's for you to eat. It's for you to do whatever the hell you want to do lawfully. It's for you to do, man. You understand? Don't be out there trying to slave make money. You got another 6 days to do that. That's why starting out it said 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them, and rested the 7th day. Because 6 out of the 7 days of the week, those 6, man, you do, you slave, you work, you making money. That 7th day, man, chill, relax, right? Our oppressor, he's so carnal, he's so disgusting, he's so evil and brutal. He will have you slave all. Somebody look up child labor laws. You understand? Look up child labor laws. Salaki, bear with me. Somebody look up child labor laws. And you're going to realize just how brutal, how, disgusting, how laborious our oppressor really is. He is truly the devil the Bible speaks of. Just like the Egyptians had us just slaving, man. Our oppressor will have us slaving, have children slaving. And our oppressor is so disgusting and so brutal that their own children were working every day, every night, 12, 14, 16 hours a day, not going to school. This was in the 20s, early 1900s to 20s, right? And they actually had to make laws for children. It's called child labor laws. You can look those up today. That's what prevents your child working at 14 and 15 without your permission. Because before, 7-year-old children, boys and girls, 6-year-olds, 5-year-olds, will be out in the field somewhere picking cotton, will be working on a house. The house, the wood, they can't even bear, couldn't even carry. But our oppressor, because he doesn't care about life, he doesn't care about humanity, he doesn't care about anything but making money. That's the only thing that matters to him. Every day and every night, a brother, sister, man, you'll be slaving. Your children will be slaving and working the fields, building up the economy with the railroads owned by old white men like Carnegie and Carnegie Steel and Vanderbilt and Rockefeller and Tesla, Nikola Tesla, all of the devils who they say built America. They did not build America. They had the wealth generated by slaves who worked day in, day out, from can't see to can't see. The Lord, that's not holy unto the Lord. The Lord doesn't want men and women and children to be slaving all the damn time, man. That's not how life is to operate, for you to slave just to come home to Section 8. For you to slave and make $5 an hour. Look how much they was paying those. In most cases, our oppressor wasn't paying those children any money at all. Pennies. You understand? The same way they do our brothers that's locked up in the penitentiary. Who are the ones that go and fight those fires on the West Coast in California and Nevada and Oregon when those forests catch fires. Those big 1,000,000-acre fires that last weeks and months. Those inmates, those Jakes, those Hispanics, and those Judites, the Negroes and the Hispanic brothers and sisters that's locked up, they are the ones who go and fight those fires on the West Coast, man. And guess how much the oppressor pays them? 10 cents an hour. Like, that's the devil the Bible speaks of. The Lord is not, that's not of the Lord. That's not holy. You understand? And that's servile work right there. That's slavery right there. You understand? The Lord does not want that, so he dedicated a day just for brothers and sisters to take the hell off, man. To not work, not slave, not do anything, to relax, to eat, to chill. Anything lawfully you can do on any day, but especially the Sabbath day, because it is your day. You shouldn't have to worry about going to your slave. You shouldn't have to worry about going to work. But of course, because we are in captivity, because we are in slavery in America, and slavery in Argentina and Brazil and the UK and all over this earth, we sometimes don't have an option, right, to if you can slave or not on Saturday. But if you will just ask your boss, if you would just go to him and say, man, whatever the Jewish man has to do to take their Saturdays off, do it. And you ask them and you do it, man, and you contact your camp leader and say, well, I want the Sabbath day, I want the Saturday off. And the Lord will honor that. He sees that you trying, even in this hell that we live in, the oppression that we trying to survive in every day. You try to take that Sabbath day off, man. You do whatever you have to do. You understand? Lawfully, within the bounds of the law. And you say, I don't believe in this. This is my beliefs. And I'll work Sunday. I'll work Christmas. And sometimes being knowing the truth, that's what you have to understand you have to do. Seeing as how our oppressor already gives Esau's holidays off, like Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. See if you can work those days, slave on those days, and get the Lord's high holy days off, like the Sabbath day, like the Feast of Tabernacles, like the memorial blowing the trumpets. Show the effort, which is what the Lord wants to see from all of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Yes, we're in captivity, but the effort, having the stride to do it, the Lord will honor that, man. And who knows, maybe the boss will let you off every Saturday, or the Saturdays you can get off. You understand? But that's a day that's to us, for you to enjoy that day with your family, for you to go out and fish, hunt, you understand? Go do what you want to do lawfully, man, and that's your day. You get my point? Mark. We're going to go to Mark. We're still going over the Sabbath day. This is the breakdown of the Sabbath day. Of course, it's a day that the Lord made holy or separate for us to keep throughout every generation, every Sabbath day, which is every Saturday. You keep it, man, and we have the Sabbath service here in the UPK. You come on out to the Sabbath service and learn, and that's a perfect place to learn our traditions, how to keep a lot of the high holy days, because a lot of the high holy days will be held like a Sabbath service. You learn that Hebrew. You're a young man, brother. That's the best way. You coming in, you're going to be sitting right here in the middle with two high priests right here on the left and the right, the high-ranking captain and officer. You're going to sit in the middle and read that Hebrew, and you're going to learn this Hebrew. You're going to learn that Lashwan Kodash. You learn how to keep the Sabbath day holy. You get my point? Now, let's go to Mark. Let's go to Mark, the 2nd chapter, right? This is when Christ and the disciples were picking corn on the Sabbath. So they were working, right? They were working on the Sabbath. And of course, like I told you to remember, that word servile is not the same as you working. It's not willing work. That servile is making money, right? So we're going to read it right here. This is Mark, the 2nd chapter, verse 23. And it came to pass that he went through the cornfields on the Sabbath day, and his disciples began, as they went, to pluck the ears of corn. And the Pharisees said unto him, Behold, why do they on the Sabbath day that which is not lawful? Verse 25, Salakia. Verse 24. And the Pharisees said unto him, Behold, meaning look, why do they on the Sabbath day that which is not lawful? Verse 25. And he said unto them, Have ye never read what David did when he had need and was a hungered, he and they that were with him? Verse 26. How he went into the house of the Most High in the days of Abiathar the high priest, and did eat the showbread, which is not lawful to eat, but for the priest, and gave also to them which were with him. Verse 27. And he said unto them, the Sabbath was made for man, and not man for the Sabbath. Therefore the Son of Man is power also of the Sabbath. That's the point, man. The Sabbath is for the man and not the man for the Sabbath. Meaning, servile work is making money. You understand? Which is something the priests, the Pharisees and Sadducees, they didn't understand, man. Like a lot of things, and this is something so heavy to get and understand with the Pharisees and Sadducees of the time of Christ. Our King, they are the same religious leaders that we have today. In Creflo Dollar, T.D. Jakes, Benny Hinn, Joel Osteen, all of your black and Hispanic Christian preachers and leaders and imams. That's who the Pharisees and Sadducees were then. Didn't understand the Bible, don't understand the law, didn't understand a damn thing, but they knew how to take and steal money from the people that were poor, the black and Hispanics that they were supposed to be leading and being a shepherd to. You understand? That's why Christ hated those Pharisees and Sadducees and the religious black Christian leaders of his time, because they ultimately had Christ be killed by the Romans. You understand? That's who was responsible and had the blood on their hands, was the black religious Christian leaders of Christ's era. And that's important to understand, man. They come up, had the gall to ask Christ all these questions, trying to confound him, and he always ended up cutting them because he knew the Bible. And it sounds very familiar. It sounds like the UPK when Christians think they're going to cut us and that we never read a scripture in the Bible before. Like they're going to pull a scripture we never heard, and they say, aha, we got you, and we just cut them to shreds. Why? Because we read the Bible. You understand? We learn from men that learn from the men that were taught this Bible. You understand? From Genesis all the way to Revelation. You get my point? So for you fake Israelites, for everybody that believes you cannot do anything on the Sabbath, you follow after Jewish white men. And that's all you have to understand and believe. Because the Bible does not say you cannot do anything on the Sabbath. The Bible says, and he said unto them, the Sabbath was made for man, and not man for the Sabbath. Anything lawfully you can do on the Sabbath day, man. That's it, man. Right? And that's the Sabbath day. You get my point? So now you understand, blacks and Hispanics can understand it a little better. Right? The Sabbath day, the origin, the root comes from the seventh day, generally how long it took the Most High to create the earth. He took that day off, he blessed it and made it holy so that his people, blacks, Hispanics, and Indians, could take the day off, do no servile work, and relax, enjoy yourself, have time to yourself and your family. Right? Alright, now the Passover, which just happened. Now we're going into the Passover. Right? Exodus, the 12th chapter. Now, a little bit of this we just did because, of course, we just had the Lord's Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread. So these I can, if you have any questions specifically about the Lord's Passover or the Feast of Unleavened Bread, type it in. But, of course, we just had the Lord's Passover, and we literally just ended the Feast of Unleavened Bread yesterday evening. So this is going to be very brief, these two. You understand? But the history of the Passover, all right, we're going to get into it right now. The Lord's Passover, Exodus chapter 12, I'm going to start at verse 1. Exodus 12 and 1. And the Most High spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, verse 2, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. Before I read this, right, anybody really actually don't know what the Lord's Passover is? How about that? If you don't know what the Lord's Passover is, say something right now. I'm still going to go into it just a little bit, but if you really do not know and understand what the Lord's Passover is about, where it comes from, the origins, the history of it, what it means, who's involved, please let me know. All right? Speak now, forever hold your peace. Anybody know the Lord's Passover? I'll give you a few more seconds. Online, anybody can type in. You understand? The Lord, if you understand the origin of the Lord's Passover, that we just finished celebrating and keeping in Houston, Texas at the BH Ranch this year on the 24th of April. You understand? If anybody doesn't know, let me know, because I'm going to briefly go over the Lord's Passover. All right? So I'm going to skip down. I'm still going to be in Exodus, the 12th chapter, but I'm going to skip down to verse, let's see, I'm going to start at, okay, I'll start right here. Verse 6, right? And this is, now, I'm going to catch you up, right? So the Lord's Passover, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, who are really the true chosen people of the Most High God, the creator of heaven and earth, we are the Israelites the Bible speaks of. You understand? Approximately over 6,000 years ago, circa, we were in Egypt, right? Another slavery, another house of bondage, which is what Egypt means. The Greek word is literally bondage, house of bondage. We were in slavery in the land of Egypt, a filthy, disgusting African nation. The Hamites, they had us, the Egyptians, they had us in captivity. And they were very brutal, just like our oppressor, the white man, is today. Just like the Greeks, just like the Romans, just like the Assyrians, just like the Babylonians. Every captivity we've been oppressed under, they have been very brutal on us. They have been murderous. They have been liars and thieves and have deceived us and got us hooked on drugs. And we became alcoholics. And I mean, the same things we're going through pretty much today in this captivity are the same thing that we went. And that's where you have to put your mind at, right? Think about Harriet Tubman and Nat Turner and getting whipped in slavery and building up the obelisk in Washington, D.C. and how slaves built the White House. The same thing we did in Egypt over 6,000 years ago. And just put your mind there for a second, right? Put your mind and understand the same way you see black men getting gunned down in the streets in America, getting gunned down in the streets in the UK, you understand? That's what was going on, the same thing in Egypt. You get my point? Like Mark Duggan, that brother, may he rise again, in the UK a few years ago, got gunned down by the cops in the UK. Right? Look that story up. Look up the story of Khalif Browder. Look up the story of just look up black injustices in the earth. I mean, in the slavery here in America, to be specific. Look up all of the just disgusting and vile and the evil things that our oppressor have done to our forefathers and us today. We just witnessed George Floyd getting murdered on camera last year. Well, this same thing that's going on now that we've endured for over 400 years in this land of captivity, the same thing that happened over 6,000 years ago in the land of Egypt, right? Egypt was it was the America of their day. They had the strongest military, they had the strongest economy, they had the strongest country, they had blacks and Hispanics as their slaves to make it the best country on the earth and the greatest empire on the earth at that time. Books are literally written about them. Movies are made about the Egyptians. It was the empire of its time. It ruled that hemisphere on the earth. You get my point? The same way America rules the earth today, owns the earth today, owns the space and Mars and the moon today. Think about Egypt in the same way. And they were the empire of their day, and they had blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians as their slaves, the Israelites. You understand? And that's where you put your mind at. Well, there was an Israelite, a Levite, who from the tribe of the tribe of Levi, the so-called Haitians today, Moses, Masha, he realized after being raised up in Pharaoh's court or Pharaoh's house, he realized he was, this was a military general here. This was a viceroy of Egypt. You understand? This was a man who rose to be the vice president, a ruler, somebody who had military might in Egypt, but was an Israelite. The same way Colin Powell, the same way the attorney general, who was the attorney general under Eric Holder, under Barack Obama, the same way the attorney general now is a black man. Think about that with Moses, a man who had power, right? A man who was, while we in slavery and captivity, here's a black man who is in the authority under the Egyptians, with the Egyptians, and put your mind there. Well, this was a brother who cared about his people. You understand? He cared, and he He worried about his people. You get my point? And after time, he realized the injustices that his people endured under the same Egyptians that he once loved. You understand? And so one day he goes out, he sees an Egyptian smiting a Hebrew, the same way you saw that devil Derek Chauvin smite George Floyd. The same way you saw who was the devil down there? George Zimmerman smite Trayvon Martin. The same way you saw the devil in St. Louis smite Mike Brown. The devil's Pantaleno and them cops in New York City smite Eric Gardner. The same way those devils, what was it, in Milwaukee, that we watched them smite the brother of Philando Castile in front of his family. His family watched it. His daughter and his rib watched that live in the car. Well, this is what Moses saw, man. And he saw it, and he ended up killing an Egyptian. He ended up doing that. Now, he was wrong in killing the Egyptian, but his spirit was right. His spirit was right because he was sick and tired of watching his people in slavery get murdered, get brutally assassinated, murdered, dead. That's what he saw, man. You understand? And this is the same thing we see today in America, which is modern day Egypt, modern day Babylon, modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. The same way Egypt was, with all of the homosexuality, those disgusting, filthy Africans, which I don't understand how any of you black men would want to be an Egyptian or identify and have a close association with any African nations. Because those African nations were very brutal to your mothers and your forefathers. Very disgusting, man. You should have more integrity than to try to be an Egyptian, than to try to be a damn, white man, try to be a Christian. You should have more integrity than that, man. So, now, Moses, he has to go on a run because he committed a crime. Salakia. Salakia, bear with me. Okay, Salaki, I'm back. So the Most High, so this is Moses we're talking about, right? The Passover. So Moses, he had to go on the run. You get my point? He had to go on the run, and because he murdered the Egyptian, he killed that Egyptian that he saw smite the Hebrew, his people. He went on the run, right? He went on the run. The Lord, he saw him. You understand? He came to him in a vision. He came to him, and he told him that he wanted him to be the voice. He wanted Moses to be his voice to lead the Lord's chosen people out of that slavery, out of Egypt. That's what the Lord, the Most High God, told Moses. You understand? All right, so Moses went back to Egypt. He did what the Lord said do. Now, at first, Moses was hesitant. He said, man, I can't speak. I can't do this, man. This is a tough job. And being a priest and prophet of the Lord God is a very tough job, man. But the Lord convinced him and said, well, I'll use Aaron as your mouthpiece. Use Aaron as your mouthpiece, but do what the hell I tell you to do. And Moses did what the hell the Lord God told him to do. So he went back into Egypt. He went to Pharaoh. He told Pharaoh, free the Lord's people. Free the children of Israel. The children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Free them, man. Free them or else. You get my point? And so he went to Pharaoh. Pharaoh, of course, and think of Pharaoh like Donald Trump. Think of Pharaoh like, Ronald Reagan, some arrogant, proud, heathen bastard who doesn't care about the Lord, who doesn't regard the Most High, and who doesn't regard man. The same way Donald Trump, they made Donald Trump a god at the CPAC convention a few months ago after they raided the damn White House. You understand? The same way Pharaoh was a god in Egypt. And Horus and Hotep, and all those fake false gods that the Lord ended up destroying for the children of Israel. And so Moses went to this Pharaoh who was like Donald Trump, like Ronald Reagan, and he told this Hamite, he told this disgusting African, he told him, let the Lord's people go. Because he did what the Lord told him to do. Moses was doing what God told him to do, so he told Pharaoh. Pharaoh didn't care. He increased the burden on the nation of Israel, just like our oppressor does today. And which is so disgusting, if I could, that's what's so disgusting about you black Christians, like Ben Carson, like Dr. King, like you Christians, like you black Muslims, who would say and take sides with your oppressor, who would agree with what the hell the oppressor does. That is disgusting, man. Because your oppressor is looking to increase the burden of your people, and you take sides with them to increase the burden of your people. You understand? That's absolutely disgusting. And this is what Moses had to deal with. You understand? So Moses deals with a leader, a ruler, a king, a president of the most powerful nation on the earth at that time. The most powerful empire, worldwide famous, the Egyptian empire. And he goes to Pharaoh. He tells him, listen, let the Lord's people go. So Pharaoh doesn't listen. And the Bible said the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart. He hardened his heart. He hardened his heart. Why? Because the Lord our God wanted to show his might. He wanted to show how powerful he was. He wanted to make himself famous. He wanted everybody to see just the destruction that the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, had done to the Egyptians. So he increased and had Pharaoh increase the burden on the Israelites. Pharaoh's heart was hardened. He said, "You yet." As a matter of fact, let me pull it. Okay, Salakia. Okay. I'm gonna go. Let's see. Right here, we in Exodus, the 5th chapter. Like, this Passover is such a heavy thing to go over. I ain't gonna stay on it too much long, but this thing is just like the Feast of Hanukkah. Those are my two favorite holy days. Two of my favorite, I should say, because number one, something you also should understand when it comes to the Lord's holy days is all teaching us to be selfless. Christianity teaches us so much to be selfish and only care about ourselves, only care about what your household has, only care about what you do, only care about the mistakes you make. The Bible teaches us to worry about and care about our brothers. Worry about the mistakes he makes. Care about your family and the family of your brother. And that's something very important to understand about the Most High's High Holy Days. The Lord's High Holy Days is to teach us selflessness, which is the High Holy Day we're in right now. The Feast of the First Fruits, that's about, and we're going to get into that after we get into the Feast of Unleavened Bread. That's to teach us about giving what's first to us, the fruits that mean the most to us, the land without blemish or without spot, the best of what we have to the Lord, and give it to the Most High. Why? Because it's the best of what we have. It teaches you selflessness. Not Christmas, not Thanksgiving, not Mother's Day, not Father's Day. That teaches you how to worship yourself, not birthdays. You understand? Everything we've been raised in that Christian church to understand and believe and worship is to teach us how to be selfish. But the Lord's High Holy Days teaches us how to be selfless. And the Passover is a main one, right? So we're in Exodus, the 5th chapter. Exodus, chapter 5, verse 5. And Pharaoh said, Behold, the people of the land now are many, and ye make them rest from their burdens. 6. And Pharaoh commanded the same day the taskmasters of the people and their officers, saying, 7. Ye shall no more give the people straw to make brick, as heretofore. Let them go and gather straw for themselves. Now this is a disgusting, evil bastard who is brutal, just like the oppressors of America's kingdom were very brutal on us. And he said, well, listen, times past, you've given the straw to the Israelites, but now let them go and get the straw themselves. They already got to build up the pyramids. They already have to build up our houses. Let them go get the straw themselves. He increased the burden because he felt as though, who is this nigga asking me to free all these Spicks and these Hispanics and these wetbacks and these Negroes? Who is this Negro to ask me to do this? What God you talking about? I am God. Ain't that what Trump say? Ain't that what Donald Trump and all the presidents and Ronald Reagan and them say? Salaki, the brother William Ballard called the Virginia school after class, Baba Bashar. You understand? Called the Virginia school after class. All right? And this is what Pharaoh was thinking. That's why he increased the burden on the people. That's why he increased the burden on blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, because his heart was hardened. Because he said, man, who are these Negroes to ask me to free the people? You know what? Before my taskmasters or my slave masters giving you straw to build things, to make brick. Now, I am going to have you go and get the straw yourself, increasing our burden. You understand? So now we caught up, right? Now we all caught up. We right here. You understand? This is where we at. We're right here with Moses, Pharaoh, Aaron. Moses and Aaron are going to Pharaoh. They saying, man, listen, let the Lord's people go. He increased the burden. So now the Lord had to send plagues. He sent a locust plague. He sent a plague to turn the water into blood. You understand? He sent plagues of frogs and locusts and blood, and he's sending all these plagues of boils and sicknesses and famines and diseases, right? But this is the most important one. Exodus chapter 11, verse 1. And the Most High said unto Moses, yet will I bring one plague more upon Pharaoh and upon Egypt. Afterward he will let you go hence. When he shall let you go, he shall surely thrust you out hence altogether. All right. This is the Most High telling telling Moses. He said, there's one more plague I'm going to give to Egypt. There's one more plague I'm going to give to them, and it's going to be the best plague out of all of them. I sent the locusts, I sent the sicknesses and the famine, I sent all the blood, turned the water into blood. This one right here is going to make Pharaoh thrust you out, push you out. Hurry up and leave. It's this one that's going to make them do this, and this is what it was. Verse 5, and all the firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sitteth upon his throne, even unto the firstborn of the maidservant that is behind the meal, and all the firstborn of beasts. Verse 6, and there shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Egypt, such as there was none like it, nor shall be like it any more. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that ye may know how that the Most High doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. Now give the Lord a hand, man. He killed the firstborn of everything in the land of Egypt. The firstborn mouse dead, the firstborn jail servant dead, the firstborn of Pharaoh's house dead. The firstborn was dead out of the land of Egypt who were Egyptians, man. Right? That's the ultimate show of love in the earth, throughout the earth's history. The Most High God of Israel murdering and killing all of the firstborn in the land of Egypt. Why? So we can be thrust out of the land of our captivity. That's the Passover. The death angel, matter of fact, let's get into it. Salakia, verse 8. And all these that thy servants shall come down unto me and bow down themselves unto me, saying, get thee out. Salakia. Here we go. Chapter 12. Exodus chapter 12, verse 1. And the Most High spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, verse 2, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. All right. Verse 7. Skip down to verse 7 for time's sake. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts on the upper door posts of the houses, wherein they shall eat it. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Okay, let's skip down. Verse 13. Now, again, let me catch you up. Right now, what's going on? We taking the lamb, we slaughtering it to eat it, and we're taking his blood to put on the doorpost, because that's what the Lord ordered us to do and commanded us to do. You understand? And this is why he had us do it. Verse 13. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are. Salakia. Salakia, I lost my spot. Where ye are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you. When I smite the land of Egypt, the Lord didn't want to kill us, right? He wants to save us. So he ordered us to put blood on the doorpost of all the houses of the Israelites. You get my point? So that we do not die. And everybody that listened to this order and that followed the commandments of God through the mouth of Moses all survived the plagues of Egypt. Survived the death plague of Egypt. The death angel came. He took all of the life in Egypt that didn't have blood on the doorpost. Well, guess who didn't have blood on the doorpost? Non-Israelites. Which proves that the Lord only cares about one people, man. This is a high holy day the Lord told us to keep throughout our generations from him murdering all the Hamites or the Egyptians, this disgusting African nation, who were once great rulers of the earth. Like, this is something to understand, man. We look at America and look at its military might, its aerial prowess, the greatest Air Force, greatest Navy, greatest Marine Corps, and little do we realize is that Egypt had the same thing, and it didn't last forever. The Lord destroyed it utterly. The Greek Empire had the same military might. It didn't last forever. The Lord destroyed it utterly. The Roman Empire didn't last forever. The Lord destroyed it utterly. America has this day coming, man. And it's a day coming soon. And it is absolutely glorious in the sight of God for him to destroy the land that dares have his people in captivity. It is a day coming for America. You can bet your bottom dollar that it is going to be a worse plagues coming than COVID-19, than COVID-22, than the death angels, than all of the plagues that Egypt had combined. There is a day coming that the Lord set aside for America to endure. And they are going to endure it, man. They are going to do it. They're going to suffer the plagues that the Most High God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that he is going to lay waste to America the same way he did Egypt, the same way he did Rome, the same way he is going to do America. Because no empire that is not of God's will last forever. And that's something that you Christians have to understand. While you sitting there praying for America, while you sitting there praying for the enemies of Christ to live and to not die, the Lord is sending angels and plagues to plague America, to plague the very leaders that you love, that have had their hand in the destruction of his people. The same way you're praying for America to stand, the Israelite School UPK is praying for America to fall, because Babylon is falling to rise no more. And COVID-19 should have showed you what the Lord, the Egyptian Empire plague should have showed you what the Most High could do. The Egyptian Empire, the plagues that the Most High sent to them should have showed you, man, this is a God to be feared. This is a God that Pharaoh feared when he killed his firstborn son. When he sent plagues of locusts and plagues of famine and plagues of disease, this is a God to be feared. This is a God to be obeyed. This is a God to be feared, man. And we should fear the Most High God and listen to what the hell he says to do through the voice of Commander General. This is what we should do. Not dance and sing and beat tambourines, but to keep the Lord's Sabbath day holy. To keep the high holy days of the Most High holy. The holy convocations of God. We should keep these days of Passover and not Christmas. We should keep the Feast of Purim and not Thanksgiving. This is what we should do. You understand? So that when the death angel comes to America the way it did Egypt, we will be safe. We will be safe. We will not be harmed. You understand? Let's keep reading. Verse 14. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. That's forever. For all eternity. It's never going to end. Even in the kingdom of heaven, when Yahweh Shai and those 200 million angels come back, we're going to celebrate the days the Lord made holy for us to keep throughout our generations forever. Not Christmas. That's not in the Bible for us to keep. Not Thanksgiving. That's not in the Bible for us to keep. But these days that we're going over and going over the history of now, these are the days the Most High commanded for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to keep. Think about the day that we celebrated on April the 24th at the BH Ranch in Houston, the Lord's Passover. Think about what this means, man. This proves that the Lord God, the creator of heaven and earth, only loves blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. He only loves us, man. This is what that Passover showed us. It showed us what could happen if we are to come together under the authority of Christ and the Most High God and listen to what the hell he has to say and do it. To obey God is to save our life. And that's what we have to do to get out of this captivity, the way we did in previous captivities, like the Egyptian captivity specifically. This is what we're going over now, the Passover. The death angel passed over us and the Israelites and killed and smote the Egyptians and laid them waste. The same thing that can happen today, man, in 2021. The same thing that can happen today. The Lord sees George Floyd. He saw that, man. The blood of George Floyd cries out to the Lord. Of Trayvon Martin. You think the Lord is blind to what's going on in America? You think the Lord didn't see Mark Duggan in the UK? You think the Lord didn't see what goes on in Haiti and how the tribe of Levi, the priests of God, are eating mud, dirt pies in Haiti? You think the Lord is blind to see that, man? He wants blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to come together, O nation not desired, so that he could do something more miraculous. He could do something more brutal. He could do something more destructive to America than what he ever did to the Egyptian Empire, man. That's what the Lord wants. But he's not going to do it if you're getting high. He's not going to do it if you're buying whores and having sex with white women and Asian women. He's not going to do it if you continue to be a Christian and worship Baal. He's not going to do it if you don't have any integrity and fight for justice and stand for what's right for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. What the hell is he coming and saving blacks and Hispanics for when you don't want to be saved, man? What the hell is he doing it for? Which is why it's important to listen to what the Israelite School UPK says. Because we are the protection that the Lord sees from his people, that someone is doing the right thing. If it wasn't for the UPK, brother, do you realize the state of black America would be 10 times worse than what it was? If it wasn't for Commander Juliana holding down his truth and being a champion for civil rights, being a champion for feeding blacks and Hispanics during the hurricanes like Hurricane Harvey, when all of your damn imams and Christians closed the doors of their church, Commander Juliana was down there at the George R. Brown Convention Center handing out bread, food, water, clothes, and supplies to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians that needed it. If it wasn't for the UPK, black people wouldn't have help. Black people wouldn't see what righteousness looks like. You wouldn't understand what the Bible means. We would be Muslim and Christian, homosexual somewhere, doing God knows what if it wasn't for that man holding down this truth. But because of Commander Juliana, because of the strict, discipline he has, man, and that he's maintained the integrity of this school, thanks be to the Most High. Because of that, now we understand what it takes to be free from America. But if it wasn't for him, man, we'll be homosexual somewhere doing God knows what, all hooked on drugs, all gangbangers, all Christians and beating a tambourine somewhere. This school saves your life. This school is heaven for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. But you have to make the sacrifice and get in here and listen to what we say, so we will all be safe. This is not about me or my family. This is about all of us and all of our families, man. You talk about unity, we live it here in the UPK. You talk about brotherhood, we live it in the UPK. You read the Bible and we live the Bible here in the UPK. And it is very important for you to learn this scripture in these high holy days, so we can keep these days holy like we've been ordered to do, so we can get the hell out of our captivities. Are we tired of seeing George Floyd's? Are we tired of seeing black men in the military, Esau's military, serving under their oppressor, getting shot and gunned down and pepper sprayed, pulling out their car? Are we sick of seeing 78-year-old grandmothers getting pulled, strong-armed out their car from white cops? Are we sick of this, man? How much more are you going to get high? How many more white women does it take for you to have sex with for you to realize that we are at all-out war with these other nations? These other nations don't give a damn about blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. while we try to come together with them and pray for our leaders and vote our way out of hell, the Egyptians, the Israelites didn't need to vote for their way out of Egypt. All they simply had to do was obey the man of God that the Lord set up for us to be free. And that's all it takes for us to be free here in America. That's all it takes for us to be free in Puerto Rico. That's all it takes for us to be free in Mexico. That's all it takes for us to be free in the UK. That's what it takes for us to be free in Canada. If the Native Indians want any kind of fight back, if they want any kind of, if they want to come off those reservations and stop being molested by every, pedophile that comes on those reservations who are not Native Indian, then they should come into the UPK under Commander Juniana. We should come into the UPK under Commander Juniana and listen, just like we listened over 6,000 years ago to Moses, get out of Egypt. The same thing could happen, man. And that's the Passover. The Passover should teach us how to obey the man that God set up to lead his people. Because without Moses, we never would have made it out of Egypt. Without some man that the Lord rose up to lead his people, we never would have made it out of Egypt. And the same thing is today. The Lord rose up Commander Juniana to be his voice, to be the authority under Christ, to lead his people into the third world war, to save his people, man. That's what we're here to do. Or else what in the hell else are we doing if we ain't fighting for justice for our people, man? It's very important you come into these classes and you learn from the men that Commander Juniana taught, so that we could all find favor in the sight of God like we did back during the time of the Egyptians, and we can get on out of our captivities. You understand? That's the Passover. That's what the Passover was about. It was about the Lord killing and laying waste the Egyptians that had his people in captivity so that we could be free, so that we can get the land that he promised to our forefathers. That's what the Passover is about, man. It's about us putting away our petty differences, about us coming together under the authority of Christ and brotherhood, and coming together and being free from our captivity. That's what the Passover was. It's about the killing of our oppressor so we could be free. Everybody understand? All right, now, right after this Passover is the Feast of Unleavened Bread, right? And this goes right into each other, and we just did it. So again, I'm going to just catch you up because it's not much of a breakdown to do. We did it all this whole week for 7 days. The Feast of Unleavened Bread, when we were thrust out of Egypt by the Egyptians because the firstborn of every Egyptian living thing died by the hands of the Most High God, they said, get the hell on out. Pharaoh said, get Moses, I don't want any trouble from your God anymore. I don't want any more trouble from you people. Get on out of Egypt. Leave in a hurry. Here's all our gold, all of our jewelry, all of our silver. Leave and never come back so we don't have to deal with the God of Israel anymore. They thrust us out. We had to leave in the morning, leave in a hurry. We only got the things that we needed. We took bread, unleavened bread. It's something, I still got some here, Most High Christ. Get a Lord in hand. So we took things without leaven in it because it takes so long to bake. Leaven, we was on a voyage out. We was on a trip out. We had to leave in a hurry. So we only had unleavened bread for 7 days on the trip out of Egypt. So that's why we keep the Feast of Unleavened Bread, because the Lord told us, number one, to keep it. That's the number one reason you have to understand why we keep anything in the UPK is because the Bible says to do it, which God says to do it. He told Moses to keep this as an ordinance forever, throughout your generations forever. That's every high holy day we celebrate in the UPK and that we keep in the UPK. All right, so that's the Feast of Unleavened Bread. We didn't have leaven to put in our baked goods like bread, cookies, crackers, so we had to eat it without leaven. So we ate flat bread for 7 days out of the land of Egypt. You understand? You can find that right after the Passover, and that's going to be in Exodus, the 12th chapter, verse 17 through 20. Also in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, verse 6 through 8. I'm going to keep moving through these. Right now, we're in the Feast of First Fruits. So I'm going to go to Leviticus, 23rd chapter, which in the Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, you're going to find most of our high holy days, right? So I'm in the Feast of First Fruits right now. This is the high holy day that we're in right now. It started last night at sundown, and this is the feast day. You get my point? Make sure you sign in, right? The link is posted up in the YouTube chat. Make sure you sign in, you put your name, the city you're from, and you sign in. All right, don't forget to do that. Pay your tithes and support this truth. Right now we're in the Feast of First Fruits. That's a 50-day long feast, right? This is 50 days is the span of the Feast of First Fruits. It's a feast unto the Lord. It's a holy convocation unto the Lord. And we're going to start reading right now. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 10. Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, when ye be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest. Again, this is first fruits. Like every high holy day, especially this one, it is to teach us to be selfless. It's to teach us to give the best of what we have to the Most High God. It's a high holy day. It's a feast for us to realize that without His miraculous deeds coming out of Egypt and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, that we would not be able to be in this land that we were in, that we couldn't grow our own crop and our own food, but finally we can. So guess what? When you can raise your own animals, grow your own crop, give the best of what you have to the Lord. That is an order. That is a commandment to keep. That is an ordinance forever throughout our generations. It's right here in the Bible. The Feast of First Fruits is no different than any other high holy day, any other feast. We keep it forever. And it is to remind us, coming out of Egypt, man, that all we had was each other, which is all we are always going to have is each other. If it wasn't for one another, brother, we would never have gotten out of Egypt. If we didn't put aside petty differences, if we didn't listen to what the man of God said, Moses, to get us out of Egypt, we would never have gotten out of Egypt. We could possibly have still been there today. You understand? But because the Lord loves His people so much, and because we decided that night to be like partakers of the same good and evil and have brotherhood, then we said, man, we've had enough of this. Enough is enough. We were tired of being tired. We didn't have to march and protest. We got out of Egypt. We ate the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and we came into a land, into our land, I should say, and we grow on food, on crops. The Lord said, well, the best is what you have. Give unto me this from this day until this day, right? Which is every high holy day. It's from a day and it ends on a day, right? It starts at evening, it ends at evening, right? Whether it be a span of 7 days, 4 days, 50 days, 1 day, like the Passover is that one night. So it's up to the Lord where the timetable, right? So the Feast of First Fruits, I'm going to read the timetable right now, right? I'm going to go down and read the timetable. Oh, let's see. We're in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. I believe it's going to be 22. It's going to say 50. Let me read on down. Okay, I'm down here in 12. And ye shall offer that day when ye wave the sheaf a he lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering unto the Most High. So this is just burnt offerings, meat offerings, drink offerings, fruit offerings to the Most High God. Right? This is the Feast of First Fruits. I'm going to get to right here. Verse 15. And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. Verse 16. Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days, and ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Most High. So for 50 days, that's how long the Feast of First Fruits are. So I believe it's May 2nd, sundown was the beginning, so that's yesterday evening, to June 10th, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, you looked that up, but I believe that's just 50 days, so I believe that's June 10th or something. And that's the end of the Feast of First Fruits, right? And this is another, important holy convocation that we must keep because we're ordered by the Most High God to do it. And you remember that this teaches your children and us selflessness. Like everything the Lord tells us to keep, all of our high holy days, they teach us to be selfless. Right? That's a very foreign concept to understand, being raised Christian, being growing up Christian. We don't realize just how selfish we really are in that Christian church. We don't realize just how selfish we are when we grew up Baptist and Muslim, Episcopalian, Pentecostal. We don't realize just how selfish it really made us to keep Christmas and birthdays. But when you think about it, and I'm going to go over it now, Every holiday that we're taught to keep in our oppressor's kingdom teaches us to be selfish. Christmas. Dissect Christmas. Think about Christmas. Christmas is a day about you getting presents. And that's it. Birthdays are a day all about you. It's a wicked satanic holiday, and brother, it is not in the Bible, and we should not keep it. And it is a day that teaches us to be selfish. And every holiday in Esau's kingdom teaches us that same concept. Teaches us the same principle to be selfish. Christianity teaches us to be selfish. It teaches you to be a selfish, wicked, disgusting bastard. Thanksgiving teaches you how to be a selfish glutton. Eat as much as you want. Eat all you can, more than you can till you puke. And it's a day honoring the day that our oppressor murdered our Native American brothers and sisters, the tribe of Gad and Reuben. Every holiday, you name it. It's a day just to be selfish, man. And that's why the Lord is against the holidays that our oppressor taught us, and that the church continues to teach each generation, man. It is about being selfish. It's about loving yourself. It's about, you not caring about your brother and the stress he's going through and the things he's going through, which is what the high holy days of the Lord teaches us, to care about your brother and not even care about yourself. Like, that's if you want to learn how to be righteous and learn how to live with some honor and some dignity and integrity, that's what it takes. It's for you to be concerned about your brother. It's for you to be concerned about those who are not doing as good as you're doing. You understand? That's what Moses did. He went out and took a trip and took a walk to see how his people were doing. That's in the book of Exodus, man. Where the Passover all began. He went out and saw the Egyptian smiting a Hebrew. How would he have saw that if he never took a walk to see how his people were doing? He wanted to see how his people were living. How you feeling? How you doing, man? And that's very important. Christmas don't teach you that. Christmas teaches you how to say, well, where's my gift under the present? Where's my present under the tree? Where's mine? It's a heathen holiday and custom that we never should have celebrated. But of course, because we were in captivity, our religious black leaders taught us nothing else but how to be white and how to keep the days they keep. How to shave our heads and line up our beards and shave our face the way they do. How to be Christian like them. How to rape and molest like them. Everything about Christianity teaches you how to live like your oppressor. How to live and be the next Jeffrey Epstein. How to live and be the next Donald Trump. How to be the next Frank Nitti and Al Capone. Everything about Christianity and about America teaches us how to live like our oppressor. But the Lord wants us to have our customs, our high holy days, our own. We have our own culture. And that's what you see in the UPK. Dressed in fringes and war scarves, headpieces, sisters with their head covered, sisters wearing dresses. You understand? Not being a big mouth monster, being a great mother, a great teacher to the children, men being the leaders of homes. That's our culture and custom. Not to be rapists and child molesters and thieves. Not to be somebody who wants to be the next Al Capone, the next Godfather, the next criminal, to get high all day and be lazy. That's not our culture, man. Our culture is to help our people. That's our culture. And that's what the high holy days reinforce to the nation of Israel. It reinforces us. Every year we have the same high holy days. And it reinforces something. Each one something different. All of it selflessness. But each one of them have a different meaning, have a different origin. You understand? And it should teach us and our children something. And Feast of First Fruits teaches us how to be selfless. You understand? One of the many high holy days in the Bible to teach us how to be selfless. All right? So now we're going on to the next one. Memorial blowing the trumpets. All right? So like you. Memorial blowing the trumpets. That's in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. We're going to get into it right now. Verse 24. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying in the 7th month, in the first, did I say that? Okay, so let me start over. I don't know if I can't remember if I said the chapter and verse. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 24. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offer made by fire unto the Most High. And the Lord spake unto Moses, and the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, like this right here, the memorial blowing of trumpets is like a Sabbath service day, right? It's a day, a memorial You blow. It's really self-explanatory, right? It's a memorial to blow the trumpets. Again, everything, and as you heard when I read, it's something that we offer to the Lord on these high holy days, right? We offer something because again, these high holy days teach us to be selfless. And Memorial Day Memorial Day, Salakia. The memorial blowing of the trumpets is no different. It's a day, it's a memorial. We blow trumpets, we have a Sabbath service. It'll be held the same way. You'll have 3 men, the 2 high priests, the 2 high-ranking officers and captains on either side. The young man comes, he presents himself into the middle, and it's like a Sabbath service day, a class, and it's a day to remember. You understand us coming out of Egypt, and which a lot of these holidays that's in the book I'm reading right now, all of them start with the Passover because that's the crux right there. It's the Lord's greatest act. It's anybody's greatest act of love that anyone could do. And he did it for us. And these days are memorials or high holy days or feasts so that we can always remember just how much the Lord our God loved us to save us out of the land of Egypt. You get my point? That's all of these high holy days, man, that we read in the book of Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. All right, the memorial blowing of the trumpets is the same. Again, it's held like a Sabbath service. It's the beginning of the months. It is. The Passover is the beginning of our year. You understand? Our oppressor believes that December 30th or January 1st, the dead of winter, is, it's new. And they call that the new year. That's idiotic. It's not true. And that's not historic by any means. And that's not biblical by any means. The memorial blowing the trumpets, the Passover is the beginning of our year. So now you have the Passover on down, memorial blowing the trumpets, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Feast of Purim, the Feast of First Fruits. These are all of them are our high holy days to keep throughout our generations forever. Right? It's to establish how the Lord saved us from the hands of the Egyptians. Right? That's the basis. That's the basis. They're all the memorials to remember. They want the Most High. The reason they're an ordinance for us to keep forever throughout our generations is so that the next generations can keep these high holy days, and we can always remember and never forget. That's a key phrase. We will never forget just how the Lord loved us enough to get us out and free us out of Egypt, free us out of the land of our bondage. That's how much the Lord our God loved us, and that's what he's showing with these. That's why we're keeping it forever, to teach the young generation. And they're going to grow up and one day take our seat. They're going to teach it. Well, in 30 years, if Christ ain't back, Lord forbid if Christ ain't back, the next young brother is going to be here teaching the same thing in the state of Virginia. He's going to teach the next young man how to keep the feast of the memorial blowing of the trumpets, the Feast of Unleavened Bread. It's just it's for us to remember. We always have to remember. And that's something, again, in the Christian church they don't teach us. It's how to never forget of the injustices that have been committed against blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. We are not taught that. We're taught to just let it go and forgive and forget and pray for our enemies and to just love everybody and be homosexual and beat tambourines and sing and dance and vote. That's not the Bible. The Bible is to teach our children, the young men and young women coming up after us, how to keep the same exact things, to rehearse the righteous acts. We are always to do these year in, year out, forever. Until if Christ come back and he say, you know what, this is my kingdom, we ain't got to do it. It's whatever our King Yahushua wants, when he comes back. But until then, until Christ come back, we're going to do this thing forever. So next year, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to keep the first fruits. We're going to keep the Passover. It's to teach our children and our young generation under us. It's to teach all the generations under us to keep these same things, to rehearse the righteous acts. The Lord will see this and honor it, and then he will say with them, this is a people worthy of being saved. If you smoking weed, getting high, being a Christian, singing, dancing, singing songs and dancing to songs is not what gets your people saved. That's not, the Lord, he ain't going to see that and honor it. In fact, in the Bible, in Amos, the Lord said, take away from me the noise of thy vows. He don't want to hear all that singing and dancing, all that dancing. He don't give a damn about that when your people are dying. George Floyd dead in the streets. Trayvon Martin dead in the streets. And you singing and dancing. He saw the best dead in the streets. Lord, we love you. We thank you dead in the street. Hashkala, blah, blah, blah. You singing and dancing. You dead in the street. Your sons is dead. Your daughters are getting shot at 14 years old, getting shot by white cops 4 times in the chest from getting jumped from other girls in her neighborhood. And she's dead in the street and you singing and dancing. That's not anything that we ever should forget. But more importantly, you aren't going to get anywhere if we continue to sing and dance. These things that we keep are going to show the Lord why Christ should come back to save us. He sees and honors black men and black women, Hispanics and Native Indians, doing what he told us to do 6,000 years ago. And he sees it saying, well, damn, they're keeping these generations forever. They're keeping all these holy days, the memorial, blowing of the trumpets, the Feast of Unleavened Bread. They getting it down. They getting it. They sending the prayers up on the censers. They got the Mount of Ra. They're trying to do what I told them to do. They're doing it. And he honors it. And before you know it, Christ can crack that sky at any moment, man. And he's going to save his people that have made their election sure. You understand? So if you singing and dancing, what is that doing for your dead brothers and sisters and daughters and sons? I have no idea, but this is going to save a brother's life. Coming to these classes are going to save a sister's life from whoring herself out. You understand? And this is just another high holy day that the Lord told us to keep forever, and we're going to do it. Everybody understands? The next one is the Day of Atonement. And once again, like all of the high holy days, is to teach us to be selfless. The Day of Atonement is so heavy, man. We're going to get into this one. And this is going to teach a lot of brothers and sisters discipline. And this is what's so heavy about the Day of Atonement. If I could, this is what I love, and I'm speaking for myself about the Day of Atonement. Because we feast on affliction, because we feast on afflicting our souls, it shows you that if I could not eat and drink for 24 hours, because that's all the Day of Atonement is. The Day of Atonement is a day of 24 hours to not eat or drink anything for 24 hours, so we can atone for the sins of the nation of Israel. But once again, something the Lord told us to keep. He sees it. We atone for our sin. Man, all the nation of Israel. Imagine the Lord sees all the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians on the Day of Atonement this year, not eating or drinking for 24 hours. All that are able-bodied, right? This ain't going for pregnant women who need to eat, diabetics who need to eat, somebody with a pre-existing condition. We're not fake Israelites. We know the Bible. All able-bodied men and women who are adults, consenting adults, that can withstand not eating and drinking for 24 hours, that can keep the Day of Atonement, are ordered to do it, right? So the Lord sees this, brother. That will move the Lord to do a righteous act for the nation of Israel. And this is what it shows you. If you could not eat and drink for 24 hours, because it is going to be hell, brother, and it is going to be righteous in the sight of God, it should show you I can give up pork. I can give up shrimp. I can give up horse. If I could go 24 hours without drinking water, which another 16 hours you will be dehydrated and need a hospital. If you were to go any longer, you would be dead, most people. If you can go that long without eating and drinking, brother, just to atone and be selfless for the sins of your nation, if you could do that for your nation, brother, imagine what you could do for yourself. Imagine you not eating pork again. You could do it because you just didn't eat or drink for 24 hours. You can stop smoking cigarettes because you just didn't eat or drink for 24 hours. You just deprived yourself of lust. And that's such a heavy thing, and something that young brothers and sisters need that the most. You got some brother and sister in high school that's playing football. He can do it. Let him do the Day of Atonement. You understand? And it's going to teach him from a young age. If I could not do this, I could not make whores out of my sisters. I could not put my rod in anything with a hole. I could stop being a homosexual. I could stop being a lesbian. I could stop being in a fake Israelite group. I could stop being a Christian. I don't have to eat pork. I don't have to eat shrimp. And that's what the Day of Atonement shows us, man. That's very important and a very heavy concept to grasp. To participate in the Day of Atonement and watch those, if you're a pregnant sister, watching your husband do it, it should show you like, man, this is what we can achieve. This is what we can do as a nation. Because we're not atoning for our sins, we're atoning for our people. People we never seen before. If you could do that for us, brother, you can stop smoking weed. You can stop smoking cigarettes. You can stop buying whores. You can deprive yourself of fun and worry about working for your people and doing the work and will of the Most High God to seek out justice for your people. And that is something so beautiful. And that's the Day of Atonement. And I love that so much because, while Christians eat everything that they put in front of their face, we're sitting in here feasting on affliction. And the Bible says those words, to feast on, you are afflicting your soul. And that's so important. And Christians do not do that. And it's something, again, one of the many things Christians don't do that we do because it's in the Bible. And it's something that would prove to you, brother, you could do anything. You understand? You could do it. With the help of the Most High God on your side, you can do it. You understand? You got your friend smoking weed and you trying to stop. Brother, come into these classes. Come into these classes and we're going to teach you. We're going to get that monkey off your back. But it takes your effort. It takes you realizing that without you stopping to smoke weed, without you giving up weed and pork and shrimp, George Floyd, a brother like George Floyd would get murdered. Another sister at 14, 15 would get shot 4 times by a cop. If you keep sinning against God, but you come in here, we're going to teach you how to stop for your people's sake. Once again, selfless. Christianity, you claiming everything in the Christian church, eating everything that comes to your face. You never deprive yourself of anything. You eat everything. You have sex with everything. And then you talk about you holy and sanctified. Well, we'll see. You understand? We'll see. And here we really are holy. We really are separate because this lifestyle we live is separate from everybody else in the world. And you will see if you come into this truth, man. And the Day of Atonement is that day. It's another holy convocation, another day to be separate from every other day. Because, of course, you're not going to eat, not drink for every day, 24 hours. You'll die. It's only one day out of the year. You understand? So this is a day to be separate. It's another day that's set apart. You get my point? Where we at? Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. Verse 27. Also on the 10th day of this 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls, and offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High. And ye shall do no work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before the Most High your power. For whatever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in that same day, he shall be cut off from his people. And whatsoever soul it be that doeth any work in that same day, the same soul will I destroy from among the people. This is how important these days and these how holy convocations are to the Most High. He will kill somebody who does not obey what he says to do. And that's how the Lord operates. He's not a mommy. He's not grandma. He's a man of war. You get my point? That's Exodus 15:3. And the Lord does not play games. He is not somebody you playing games with him your whole life talking about, I'm going to send some more, so just forgive me now. He is sending an angel to kill you at that birthday party. That's how the Lord works, man. You praying to him like DMX, and he is going to murder you. He's going to kill you. You praying and praying while you sinning, he is going to kill you. He doesn't hear the prayers of sinners. You don't keep the Day of Atonement. You don't keep the Passover. You don't keep the memorial blowing of the trumpets. He's going to send an angel to kill you and your family. I suggest you listen to what the hell we say in the UPK and do what the hell we say. And actually obey God so your life could be saved. So your people's life could be saved. Selfless. Stop thinking and worrying about yourself and how much somebody loves you and cares for you. And go love and care for the nation of your people that you were born into. Go do that. Stop worrying about you and stop being a victim all the time and posting stupid, silly things on Facebook all day, every day. And start to do what the Lord told Israel to do and be selfless. Purge yourself from the leaven, the lump of leaven that's in you. Do it, man. Afflict your soul. Become a new person, man, and you can only do that in the UPK. You can only do that. You can only become a new creature here in the ISUPK under Commander Junior. Somebody who now does the work of the Lord, who obeys God. You can do it. You must do it. Or else, We will spend another 400 years in America. So you take your pick. You should afflict your soul on the Day of Atonement and not eat if you are able-bodied, consenting adults, male or female, that is not pregnant and doesn't have any health conditions. You shall do the Day of Atonement and do it. No eating or drinking for 24 hours. You understand? Keep that day, man. Keep it. You understand? Like we keep every other high holy day. Don't try to shortchange the Lord and sneak food when nobody's looking. The Lord sees that, man. The Lord sees that. And you can afflict your soul so that our nation will be saved, man. And that's important. Be selfless, not selfish. We have enough selfishness that we learn from the church that we have trouble with breaking already. The truth, coming into the truth and immersing yourself in the truth, it should teach you how to be selfless, because there's no selfishness in here. You understand? We have strict brotherhood under the authority of Christ in here. We have no selfishness. We do what, we told to do. You understand? We ain't worried about, how you feeling in it. Brother, worry about your brother. Be concerned with him and his family. You understand? And that's what the Day of Atonement should teach you. It's showing you that I could do this for my nation. I could do this for my family. I could also get off drugs. I could also stop being a whore. I could also stop putting black men on child support. I could be responsible. I could stop being lazy. You understand? I could do this thing. If I could do this, I could do anything else. You understand? That's worthwhile. So that's the Day of Atonement. All right, the Feast of Tabernacles. We almost done. The Feast of Tabernacles is Leviticus chapter 23, verse 34. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 34. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of this 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days unto the Most High. Verse 35. On the first day shall be a holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. Verse 36. 7 days you shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High. On the 8th day shall be a holy convocation unto you. And ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High. It is a solemn assembly, and ye shall do no servile work therein. And there's a continuing trend here. When you notice these high holy days, once again, and this is where the oppressor gets it. The oppressor, he'll let you off on his holidays. His man-made holidays, he'll let people off. The Lord, that comes from the Most High, man. They get that from the Bible. Because the Bible always says in these holidays, the Passover, the Feast of Purim, the Feast of Hanukkah, the memorial blowing of the trumpets, the Day of Atonement, the Feast of Tabernacles, the Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Sabbath day, they're all Sabbath day, and they're to stay holy. You shall not do any servile work. You're supposed to relax on that day, man. Chill on that day. You're supposed to. Again, we're in captivity. So if you can take that day off, take the days off. Take the necessary legal steps you can to get off of work, get off of your slavery during the times of the Lord's holy day. Have some respect for the Most High and do what you have to do legally and lawfully within the bounds of the law to get out of your slavery that day. Once again, I suggested at the beginning of class, the way that, they already have days, most slaveries, you get off for Christmas, you get off for things, you get off for Esau's holidays. Work and slave those days, because those days are just another day for us. And see if you can say, well, if I slave and work these days, I can take these set days off. You get my point? And that way you can do something, you can work it out, and the Lord sees you trying to do that, and he will honor it. You understand? So once again, these high holy days, the Lord told us to take off. The Lord said, do no servile work, which means make no money on those days. Go enjoy yourself on those feast days, on those holy convocations. Take time off. Do what you do. You understand? The Lord will not have you work all the damn time. Our oppressor will have you slave every day if he could. If laws, once again, look up the child labor laws. Those laws come from back during the time before the Great Depression and during the time of the Great Depression. Our oppressor for many, many years had children slaving, had children working, white children, black children, Hispanic children, working fields, building up mines, working in coal. There's a picture of a little white boy, and I'll never forget it. There's like 3 white boys. You can look this up on Google. It's an image from back during the time of the Great Depression. They were iron workers and coal workers. Just think about your 6-year-old son or nephew working in a coal mine. Like, think about the CO2 emissions and all of the hazards and dangers from going into a coal mine. Our oppressor had children, brother, working on thousands of feet up on iron metal beams in New York, pulling beams down, going into caves, getting coal, you understand, picking cotton, working in the fields. And it got so bad that they had to make child labor laws, which is where child labor laws come from, child work laws, which is why most states, you can only start working if you are 16 years of age or older, because before then, brother, there were children that was slaving like a grown man would, like a grown woman would, working 12 hours plus a day. They had no opportunity to go to school because their family usually was so dirt poor that they needed every child in the house to work until they started getting enough children dead and dying, lawsuits, that they said, well, listen, man, we can't have children shouldn't be allowed to work under a certain age. You understand? Because of all the money. Whenever your oppressor's pockets are affected, then he will affect change. You understand? When the plagues reach his house, he will affect change. So it took for those things to happen for our oppressor to finally say, well, listen, these kids shouldn't be working. It took that for them to understand a 5-year-old shouldn't be working in a minefield. They shouldn't be picking cotton. Remember that blacks and Hispanics, the tribe of Judah here is slaving in America. Slaving the Benjamites down there in Jamaica and the islands, and the Haitians and Levi. When we pick cotton and sugar cane and cut sugar cane and pick cotton and peanuts and crops for this devil, our oppressor, we were children doing it, brother. We were 3 and 4. The moment you can walk and you can read on books on the slave narratives, you can just read books of how and look at pictures and just look at pictures. You can look this up. Children, black children, Hispanic children in the damn fields picking cotton. They do it now with the Mexicans. In the fields picking fruits and vegetables. You understand? Children. If it was up to our oppressor, you would be 2 working from the time you're 2 years old. And I'm not exaggerating that by any means. Your child would be 2 working in the field next to you, making 2 cents an hour, 10 cents a day, working from can't see to can't see, like our foremothers and forefathers had to do in slavery. Like, that's the oppressor that you love so much. The same oppressor whose drugs you love to get high on, the same oppressor whose holidays you love to celebrate. He would have your child working right next to you and slaving right next to you if he could. If it wasn't for the laws, through the bounds of the laws, he would have your child working next to you. The Lord is a more just God. The Lord is more just than our oppressor. You understand? He's wiser than man, so surely he would have children working in the fields all day anyway because it's goddamn common sense. Number 2, there are laws that state in the Bible there's days that you can't work anyway. One of them are the Sabbath day. Others are our high holy days, which we got a lot of holy days out. You understand? We got the damn feast. The feast we in now is 50 days long. You get my point? So we got days where we have off. One day at least every week. And then the high holy days we have, and you know Negroes and Spanish love to party. Native Indians love to party. We partying on our high holy days like we did down there in BH Ranch. Down there in Houston, Texas. We had the cookout and we had the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the slaughter, the lambs, the Passover, the mansion party, fishing, and all. It was just a grand ball. It was so amazing, brother. And that's our high holy days. And that's just a glimpse. That's not even all of Israel. When it was just all of us together, brother, we'll be off. You won't go to that slave. You ain't going to go to that job tomorrow. But we're going to be off, chilling, relaxing, drinking strong liquor, enjoying ourselves, having fun, talking, getting together. That's how it's supposed to be. Not working from 15, 16, 18 hours out. That is slavery. That's oppression. You understand? So once again, another part in these high holy days and these holy convocations, if you notice, there's no servile work. You ain't supposed to go out and try to make money on these days. The Lord said he would kill you for that. And in our kingdom, if you try to go and make money on those days and be a selfish, greedy bastard and not enjoy the days with your brothers and sisters, the high holy days with your brothers and sisters, the Lord will kill you, man. And that's just point blank, plain and simple. All right? What's that? The Feast of Tabernacles. Okay, let me speed you up. The Feast of Tabernacles, once again, this is in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. This is after Egypt, after the Passover, at the Feast of Unleavened Bread. We coming out of Egypt. The Feast of Tabernacles is a tent. So we will dwell. We're supposed to dwell in booths or tents for 7 days. It's like a camping trip. It's to remember that how the Lord is said. Matter of fact, I'll pull the scripture. That scripture I will pull is 44. Leviticus 23 and 41. And ye shall keep it a feast unto the Most High 7 days in the year. It shall be a statute forever in your generations. You shall celebrate it in the 7th month. Ye shall dwell in booths 7 days. All that are Israelites born shall dwell in booths, which are tents. It's to remember how the Most High, He brought us out of Egypt. We were in tents. We were in tents eating unleavened bread for 7 days. And how ironic, the Feast of Tabernacles is a feast for 7 days. Because for 7 days on our voyage out of Egypt, our trip out of Egypt, man, when we got thrust out by those disgusting Africans, the Egyptians, we ate unleavened bread and we dwelled in tents. The Lord, again, wants us to never forget to keep this a generation forever, to keep this an ordinance forever through our generations. You understand? The Feast of Tabernacles is no different. Now, you need the Apocrypha for this, the Feast of Hanukkah, or the Feast of Dedications. This is in 1 Maccabees 4 and 52. Once again, I'll speed you up. The Feast of Hanukkah. So during this time, once again, like I said before, the history is found in the Bible. The greatest history book, in my opinion, on the earth. And when you look at history books that's made by the hands of man and oppressors, you make sure that you validate it with the Bible. You make sure you validate it with the history of the Bible, because there's a lot of nuts. There's a lot of schizophrenic nuts who makes books. You can make a book, and you can put anything in it, and it doesn't have to be validated, no history, no circles, no dates, no years, no bibliography. So you make sure you validate books with the Bible, right? The Bible has so much history. The Apocrypha is what the books that the Catholic Church in specific took out. They deemed it uncanonized. They didn't want the truth to be brought out about all the wars fought, the Persians, the Medes, the history of the Greeks, and how Judas of Maccabees, which we're going into now, he saved us from, at a time, for a short time, we were safe from. He took a stand in not doing what the Greeks wanted us to do, which was eat pork, sacrifice pork on our altar, on our temple, which is holy. You will desecrate the temple if you was to do that. You understand? And so it was strong black men like him and his sons and family that took a stand. Like Mattathias, who took a stand and did the right thing, had enough integrity, whether they was going to die or not, to be killed or not by the Greeks. They said, man, F it, we're going to live for the Lord. And that's the Feast of Hanukkah. That's the dedication. And every year, in every school in the UPK across the earth, is to dedicate or redecorate every school, you understand, for the Feast of Hanukkah, right? It's a day, it's a time that displayed the brotherhood and displayed the integrity that our nation could have if we weren't so busy being Christians and Democrats and Republicans in voting. It shows the kind of integrity that there were strong black and Hispanic men had, that, because they weren't Christian and Muslim, they had enough integrity to say, well, if I have to die keeping the laws of God, I will die. All right? So now, I brought you up. Now let's go to the scripture in 1 Maccabees 4 and 52. Okay, 1 Maccabees chapter 4, verse 52. Now on the 25th day of the 9th month, which is called the month Caslu, in the 148th year, they rose up betimes in the morning. 53, and offered sacrifice according to the law upon the new altar of burnt offerings which they had made. Verse 54, look, at what time and what day the heathen had profaned it, even in that was it dedicated with songs and citherns and harps and cymbals. Once again, this is the time of the Greeks. Alexander, the so-called great, his father from Ptolemy, who was his father's name? It wasn't Darius. But Alexander, the so-called great, he was the ruler at this time, right? And the Greeks, right? He was Alexander the so-called Great. He was a Greek devil, an oppressor, an Edomite, and they just like once again, put your mind how the oppressor now, the ones who rule over blacks and Hispanics now, how in slavery forced us to eat chitlins, the most disgusting part of a pig, forced us to eat the most disgusting parts of pig and pork, and they desecrated us. They had us do the most vile things. They were brutal to us. Put your mind there at the time of the Greeks, right? When the Greeks conquered us, they had, weak black leaders, black Christian leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. go be friends with the king and the king's men of the Greeks, like what's his name, Alexander the Great. You had black leaders who went and said, well, listen, they made treaties with the Greeks and said, well, you can come in our altar and do whatever you want to do. Now I'm paraphrasing, but in Negro term and language and slang, that's what they said, man. Like Dr. King sitting there making a treaty, a literal law, a civil rights bill, a voting rights act that benefits white women and homosexuals and Asians more than it does blacks and Hispanics who's getting murdered by the cops. You understand? Like, he was a disgusting bastard like those disgusting, evil Christian black leaders, spineless, jellyback Uncle Toms, Sambo stepping fetching Negroes of the time of Judas Maccabees. Right? This is the time we at. You had disgusting, evil black leaders. Like everything that happens in the black community, the reason we suffer is because of poor leadership. A fish rots from the head. And I got this from Captain Kahuntham Yard down in the South. Give him a hand. He said that, brother. He said, a fish rots from the head, and you blaming 18-year-old boys for a 60-year-old problem. And that's so true. We didn't march with Dr. King and hand our integrity and autonomy over on a silver platter. That was Dr. King and those stepping fetching coons in the 60s and 50s. I wasn't born then. You understand? These brothers are millennials, born in 2001, 2, 3, 4. Brother, we didn't march with them, so you can't blame us for a pants sagging off our waist and shiftless and lazy and all that garbage the older generation puts on us. Those are Uncle Tom stepping fetching Negroes the same way they were back in the time of Judas and Maccabees, back during the time of Christ. At this time of the Feast of Hanukkah, poor black leadership failed us the way poor black leadership have failed us now. It's the same thing, and that's what causes us to fail. Coming out of Egypt, poor black leadership. Caiaphas during the time of Christ, Korah and Dathan and them during the time of Moses. And you have weak, stepping, fetching Negroes who would rather be friends with the slave master than to have enough integrity to stand with their people, the slaves. And that's all, our downfall comes from is poor, black, religious, Christian leaders. And if you can understand that, you can understand today. You can understand why that girl was murdered, in cold blood, shot 4 times by a white officer who was getting jumped by 4 other black girls. If you can understand poor black leadership, you can understand the reason why George Floyd was murdered. You can understand why the same night that Derek Chauvin, the murderer cop of George Floyd, was put and sentenced, why a black man that same exact day was murdered for a damn, what is it called? Air freshener in his car. Poor black religious leaders. Which, let me tell you something to you Christians listening. There's more blood on the hands of you Uncle Tom big-headed Negroes in that Christian church than there is on any gang member in the MS-13s, than there is on any Blood or Crip, any Trinitario, any black or Hispanic brother that's in Rikers Island. You Christian preachers have more blood on your hands because you are the destruction and the downfall of the black community. And if T.D. Jakes can understand that, if Creflo Dollar could understand that, if blacks and Hispanics could understand that black Christian leaders are the downfall or the reason they're in Section 8, or the reason there are no strong black men in the house, then maybe we will stop being Christian. Maybe we will get some things done and some work solved, solutions, things that we need to save the black and Hispanic community. And this same thing happened during the time of Judas Maccabees. I'm going to speed this up for time's sake. So now you understand poor black religious Christian leaders. went and made deals with the Greeks, right? They love the Greeks. They wanted to be Greek. Just like now you want to be white, a white woman with blonde weave. The same way you had Uncle Tom, Christian black leaders who wanted to be Greek, and Greek fraternity letters and all that garbage. And you had strong few black and Hispanic men who stood on the God and the laws of their forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And Judas Maccabees was one, Mattathias and his sons. And this is just a famous story throughout Israel. And what I just read, it said that this is supposed to be a holy convocation throughout our generations. And this is what we're reading about, is the Feast of Hanukkah, or the Feast of Dedications. All right? So now let's get down. I'm going to get you to the meat. Well, let's see. It might be in the first chapter, actually. Right here. This is what we want. Alright? So now let's go to 1 Maccabees, the second chapter, verse 2. And again, I'm not going to go through the whole thing because for time's sake, I still got one more. I got the Feast of Purim to break down. Alright, so I just caught you up, though. I caught you up to where we at in the Feast of Dedications, the Feast of Hanukkah. Now we're going to talk about Mattathias. This is one of the strong black men in this period who stood on integrity. Black people love in the ghetto to say they 10 toes down. These black men in the Bible were really 10 toes down. Now, they were willing to get their hands and fingers cut off for not eating pork, willing to go to the death chair manfully. You understand? There was a sister with 7 sons in here who refused to eat pork. And, that story moves General Mahayim into tears. You understand? And it should move you to tears to think about the integrity that we once had, to sacrifice your sons for the integrity of your people, of your God, of your culture. You understand? That's what is going to inspire the nation of Israel to be that nation again. Not by joining America. And to be quite frank, black people who join America should be put to death. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if black children see Martin Luther King, and if black children see Creflo Dollar, T.D. Jakes, Ben Carson, Kenny Alexander, they see that there is hope in joining America. So what do you think they're going to do? What do you think is more profitable? What do you think is more expedient? To join America and be rich and famous and powerful, or to be a poor nigga in the ghetto, or a poor spick in the ghetto, in the barrio, and have integrity? Your child is going to think that it is more profitable to be Kenny Alexander, to be Ben Carson, to be Dr. King. That is why they have to be put to death, man. I'm going to just tell you straight up, flatten down. That's what the Bible says. The Bible says, Christ said, bring not enemies before me and slay them before me. Now, I'm paraphrasing, but that's what Christ said, because he understood just how evil and wicked it is for you to betray your people to go join a heathen nation who's oppressing your people. It is appealing to a people's eye who's sheep. You want to follow anything. You want to find anything to follow. So you follow LeBron James. You follow Barack Obama. You follow Joe Biden. You follow Ben Carson and Dr. King. Right? You sheep. You understand? But the problem with that is those people I just named, those black religious leaders, aren't living a life that the Lord told us to live. They're living a life totally outside the Bible, which is why it is so evil. And our oppressor knows just who to get to put in those positions, so your black children could see those same leaders living the lifestyle they live. So now your black son is going to grow up and want to be like Dr. King and have sex with every white tail he can get his hand on. He's going to grow up and be like, he wants to be like, Ben Carson, and say, you can't give him, you have to. Ben Carson is just a disgusting bastard. He sold black people out so disgustingly. It was out, it was just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Just like all the other black Christian leaders who sold black people out, and Hispanic people out, and Native Indian people out. The same way. Black people see that and say, well, I'd rather live like this than to be an honorable man and have integrity and righteousness. And that's why they should just be gone, man. You understand? I'm not wishing nobody should do any evil to anybody, but the Lord will handle the black and Hispanics that have turned on his people. When they should have been righteous and honorable people like Mattathias and Judas and Maccabees, they instead go make deals with our oppressors. Mattathias in this scripture I'm about to read now, he didn't do that. That ain't what Mattathias did. He had integrity, and he stood on the laws of God. Here we go. First Maccabees, chapter 2, verse 1. In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Jarib from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin. And he had 5 sons. Now I'm going to skip you to '15. Here we go, real fast. Verse 15. In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city of Modin to make them sacrifice. 16. And when many of Israel came unto them, Mattathias also and his sons came together. Then answered the king's officers and said to Mattathias on this wise, Thou art a ruler and an honorable and great man in this city, and strengthened with sons and brethren. Verse 18. Now therefore come thou first and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done, yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain in Jerusalem. Once again, this is, those the king's men, the Greeks, they come and they try to put an offer to Mattathias and his sons. Listen, you're an honorable man. If these people see you do it, they're going to follow. If you come and fulfill the king's wishes, what are the king's wishes? To vote, to be a Christian, to eat pork, to disobey the God of your forefathers, to go be a Muslim, to go be what is it called? Captain, not exactly what I'm talking about. Damn. A Rainbow Coalition Jesse Jackson type Negro. That's what the king's wishes are. For you to go be a Christian and vote and love everybody and be happy and forget about the struggle and lifestyle that your people are living in, the hell that they're living in, and go live in Calabasas somewhere. You understand? Because guess what? You are an honorable man who has respect from your people, and you're strengthened with many sons. If your sons and your friends and all of the city of Jerusalem and Modin see you, they're going to want to do the same thing. Because you're a person that they respect. The king, all pressure is not a dummy. You understand? There's a reason why Jay-Z, LeBron James, and the Negroes that are out front on the pages of Sports Illustrated and TV, it's a reason they're there. Because if they see you wanting to be like them, man, with them, well, they just want to be white. That's all they want to be is white. Well, now you just want to be white and be a Christian, a good Christian. Well, they knew this. The Alexander the Greek and the king's men knew this. You understand? And so they went to Mattathias and tried to offer him a sweet deal. They tried to have him betray his integrity, betray his people, betray his God. But this is what Mattathias said. Verse 19. Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice, Though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him, and fall away everyone from the religion of their fathers, and give consent to his commandments. Verse 20. Yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers. God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. We will not hearken to the king's words, to go from our religion either on the right hand or the left. That's what Mattathias did. That's what he said, man. He stood on principle. He stood on grounds. He stood on integrity, respect, honor, dignity. That's what Mattathias did. That's what Judas Maccabees did. That's what we celebrate with the Feast of Dedications. Strong black men and women, Hispanic and Native Indian men and women who did not forsake the law of God, who didn't forsake the law and the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who didn't say, man, let me go live in Calabasas being a rich Negro. Let me go vote. Let me go be a good Christian and shave my face. Nah, they said, you know what? I won't eat pork even if it costs me my life. I won't forget about my people even if it costs me my life. If we're going to die, we're going to die together. If we're going to live, we're going to live together. Whatever we do, we're going to do it together. We're going to be like partakers of the same good and evil. And that's the kind of man and woman the Lord wants, man. Not some weak stepping, fetching Christian leader like the Pharisees and Sadducees that will betray their people in a moment's notice. When money is involved, when fame is involved, when riches and wealth are involved. He wants men in the UPK, sisters in the UPK, because, brother, we are the righteous ones that will not betray our brothers and sisters. We are the ones that follow Commanding General in the Israelite School UPK. We do the work and will of God. And we will not fall from our religion of our forefathers on the right or the left. And so we keep the Feast of Dedication, the Feast of Hanukkah, for that very reason, man. It is a law, it is an ordinance the Lord told us to keep forever throughout our generations, but that is why we do it. That's the story of the Feast of Hanukkah in a nutshell. You understand? Now, the last one, I'm going to wrap this up with the Feast of Purim. Salaki, I didn't get to go into Memorial Day, the history of that, but maybe that'll be next week. You understand? Purim. All right, that's Esther. This is again about a strong black woman, Hadasah. And we just had this in February. We just celebrated the Feast of Purim right before Passover in the month of February, actually. All right, I'm going to go to this real fast because we over the time, so bear with me. Oh, I'm looking for Esther Salakia. Books of Esther. And this is about a strong black woman who, again, stood for her people. You understand? Chapter 9. Here we go right here. All right. This is for breakdown of Purim. This is the history of Purim, right? So Esther, the 9th chapter, verse 20. That's where I'm going to start. And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters unto all the Jews that were in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, both nigh and far, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar, and the 15th day of the same yearly, as the days wherein the Jews resisted from the enemies, and the month which was turned unto them from sorrow to joy, and from mourning into a good day. Does anybody know why the days for the Jews was turned from sorrow to good? It's because the sister Esther, she stood on her principles. She was a Jew. You understand? This was an Israelite sister. And in the beginning, she was like most sisters. She was like most blacks and Hispanics who get some power, who marry somebody famous, get power. You understand? Forget about their people. Forget about the struggles of their people, just like Moses in the beginning. But then they start to see the destruction. They start to see the poverty. They start to see the cruelty that their people endure, that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians endure. Just like Moses, they go and check on their people. And that sister Esther was moved to get the king to sign declarations and ordinances to protect her people. And that's just that, man. A strong black and Hispanic woman who did something other than show her breast on Facebook, who did something other than put a black man on child support, who did something other than run her stupid mouth, but did something to change her people, to make life easier on her people, to help her people, to do the will and work of the Most High God. A sister, if you got that spirit, come into the UPK. Keep your mouth shut, keep your ears open, keep your head covered, put on a dress, come into the UPK, and we know just what to do with you, sis. We know how to keep a woman, how to respect a sister, how to have our sisters go out there and work for the Most High God and do what He asked her to do. The Lord has specific things on how a woman is supposed to be in the nation of Israel, how a woman is supposed to talk, how she's supposed to dress, what the lifestyle she's supposed to live. It is not getting on Facebook posting every 2 seconds. It is not opening your mouth every 2 seconds, telling everybody what you got to say, what's on your heart, what's on your mind. That's not of the Lord. What's of the Lord for a sister in the UPK, for an Israelite woman in general, is to keep your mouth shut and to listen to the man that is the authority over you. If it's not your father, if it's not your husband, it's your camp leader. And you just do whatever he tells you to do because that's your father now. You understand? That's a woman's entire duty of life, is just doing what her man or the authority, the male authoritative figure over her life tells her to do. Again, if it's not your father, it's your husband, who is your Lord. Or if it's not him, it's your camp leader if you're not married. It's not to go and put black men on child support. It's not to keep your mouth opening your stupid mouth, telling everybody your stupid opinions. It's not to post every 2 seconds about what's on your stupid mind. It's not to do any of that garbage. It's to serve the men of the Lord. And you do it by contacting your camp leader and asking them what needs to be done. If you need busy work, we got it here in the UPK for sisters. You understand? Or ask your husband or ask your father. And that's simple, man. You understand? That's what Esther did. She had a chance. She loved her people enough to realize that she had to help them. You understand? She wasn't on Facebook making a ruckus, embarrassing the school. She did what the Lord told her to do. She did what needed to be done to help her people, and that's the spirit that all of us should be in. And that completes the history on the breakdowns in the history of all of our high holy days and all of our holy convocations. With that, you understand, we're the Israelite School Universal Practical Knowledge, started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. We are all under commanding General Yohana. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite group or organization. You understand? I imagine. Understand? Oh, so lucky. All right. We are the Isupk, start out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to share themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers chapter 18, verse 21. Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 through 10. Means tenth in the Hebrew, ma'ashara, salakia. 10% of every penny of any increase the Most High gives you, give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations, that's now. We're in the Feast of First Fruits now. It is a feast, you understand, to be kept for 50 days. Once again, it started yesterday, right, at the end of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. That was the beginning of the Feast of First Fruits. 50-day span, so I believe June 10th or something like that, or June 12th, is the closing of the Feast of First Fruits, all right? Remind Acumen, I'll have to check the bulletin board in the hallway. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black, boots, shirts, pants, headband, and headscarf with that imajim, which means to stand. Men of Israel, we're going to give one courtesy salute to the brothers. Men of Israel, imajim Shabbat, imajim, Barak, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shabbat Yadi Matah, Sar. Men of Israel, we're going to give one courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, imajim Shabbat, imajim, Barak, Yahweh Shemar Alathan Bahashem Yahweh Shah, Yadi Matah. Class dismissed.